I got to give a shout out again to our guy, Mike Curlin, for making that insane intro. I could watch it 100 times and still not get tired of that thing. So
you
shout
have
out
watched it 100 times.
I actually probably already have, yeah. Shout out to our guy Sleepy K for that one. But everybody, welcome into another show. Welcome into another episode of the Triple Play Fantasy Baseball Show. Pumped to have a great crew with me tonight. Of course, you know the guy on my right, the Doc. We don't care about him. We'll talk to him later. I got to introduce the two important people that are on the bottom of the screen for you guys. I'm sure you guys already know them, but I want to give them the proper introduction for this show. So the first guy you see on the bottom left, we welcome in a man that's been compared to a shark fin spoiler on top of your favorite car. The mayor of Fantasy Baseballville, where he's not just the spirit ambassador, but he's my personal spirit animal. I say that knowing he can accept how odd I am with this personal intro for him. The king of the Rachel McAdams gift, husband to Malika. It's your favorite Fort Myers realtor who serves out the fantasy knowledge, leaving you feeling like a soft-served dessert. Yancey Eaton, what's going on, man?
Thank you so much for having me. It's always super embarrassing as I sit here. I'm like that socially awkward kid who's waiting to blow out the candles, just kind of waiting, and it's really awkward. But I don't know if you guys have noticed this or if you remember from the last time that we recorded. I'm actually inside my home, which is a first for me for podcasting. My wife actually let me record inside, mainly because it's hot as balls inside the garage. But also my dog just cries, and it's a whole thing if he's not with me and she doesn't want him hot. So I don't really think it's about me so much as it is about the dog. But that's a really long intro. That's super clunky, but happy to be here. And you guys look really cute. What else can I say? I miss cheesecake.
Yeah, no cheesecake for tonight for a little bit, but he'll be back. But that's why we had to bring you guys in because, again, we need to pick up the slack here. Doc doesn't bring enough knowledge for just to bring one guest on. So that's why we brought, of course, our friend Yancey. And then I got to introduce the handsome gentleman, the bottom right of the screen right there. We welcome in a man that would not be a stretch to call him my inspiration. A recently married man to a now Mrs. Schwebsey. You can catch him co-hosting the In the Deep Fantasy Baseball podcast on the Pitcherless Podcast Network. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a gamer as he twitches. He loves dingers as he's the home run hitter in tonight's lineup. And he's the dreamiest set of eyes in the fantasy baseball industry. It is the one and only Schwebsey. What's going on?
Hey, that is like the 6 nicest things anybody's ever said about me. So thank you. I mean, that pretty much covers anything. There's not much to me. That's it. There's a podcast, there's a wife, and that's it. I feel like both Yancey and I are kind of in the same boat. Like we should be introduced as our significant others' husbands. Like they're first, and then we come afterwards.
David, you are a professional kiss ass.
It's on my resume if you would look at it. So
I will say it truly is painful to just kind of sit here and wear it. Like that's me, you know what
it's like you're at a hibachi place and they're coming out to sing you happy birthday and you're like, oh no, this is going to be the worst 30 seconds of my life.
I just imagine
just smile.
David, imagine David making the duck face when he's getting ready to kiss ass.
I guess, but when Shubsy, when you said that actually just put me in the first person thing about it, and I was like, oh god, that must just be absolutely miserable. But what can I say? I get so pumped to have you guys on the show that I just have to express myself. So I can't imagine two better guys to be with us tonight.
Yes,
to talk about today's burning topic that is just all over Twitter right now. Well, it's not really, but I'm pretending it is, and that's the fantasy baseball's most traded, and yes, a beautiful graphic done by our guy Toby there. So, are you done? Can I talk without you interrupting me?
As soon as you stop kissing ass, of course.
Okay, well, we're about the 1/3 mark of the season. Trades in leagues are picking up. While NFBC leagues, of course, there's no trading. Plenty of home leagues and competitive leagues around the world are wheeling and dealing and wondering if they should be buying or selling what we're dishing out here tonight. So luckily, we have some of the best bargain hunters in the game to tell you what they think of these 10 most wanted traded players across the fantasy baseball landscape. Fellas, are you ready to give some hard-hitting analysis that the people crave?
So ready.
I mean,
this is not really.
I have analysis. I don't know how hard hitting it's going to be. But.
This isn't my area. Like we do, like on In the Deep, we do like 20% and owned and under. So I don't know who any of these players are. I'm really excited to learn about them for the first time.
Yeah, that's right. You guys really hit on the shallowest of the shallow guys. So you can it's like now you can dive into the 12-foot pool now. There's like so much water here that you don't even know what to do with it, right?
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready.
All right. Well, let's start off with our first guy here. And he is one of the most traded guys. That is Dane Dunning. Looking at his page, you get those Mr. Freeze type vibes. It's all blue. He's been a meh pitcher so far this season, a 4.67 ERA. Does have a 3.0 FIP, respectable 24.5 K percentage. He's getting hit hard at about a 45% hard hit rate and an X slug of 426. Now, if you have Dunning, are you trying to move him? Or if you see Dunning is on someone's team, is he a buy low target for you, Yancey?
This is the textbook example of a pitcher I absolutely have zero interest in. The strikeouts aren't there. The whip is out of control. This is I've seen him actually on the free agent wire a couple of times, and I'm just kind of looking at him, wondering if I should pick him up. He kind of has like younger Dallas Keuchel vibes to me. I just don't see where the upside is there. One thing we need to talk about with these most traded lists is there's a lot of really good players on here, and there's players that were obvious buy lows, right? Like in Austin Meadows a month ago before he commenced to setting the entire league on fire and led all of the American League in RBI, and homered again tonight as we're recording this, which is really cute. But then there's also, you have to take into consideration, we're seeing players like a Dane Dunning, I think, where a lot of his movement is predicated on the fact that maybe he has more long-term value or keeper value, and people are looking to move assets, and he's like a throw-in a trade. I think that's kind of the situation that we're seeing right here. In redraft, I don't have any interest. I think he's going to be an absolute whip killer, and I just don't see what the upside is, so I'm kind of staying away from him.
Schwebsy, how you feeling about my alter ego, Dane Dunning?
So this list of guys that we have, is this in order of like most traded to least traded?
Yes.
So Dane Dunning is the number one most traded player in fantasy.
This was according to CBS.com for their league. Yes.
Yeah, because like the first two words in my notes are "why though." I don't understand why Dane Dunning is traded so frequently. Like I'm thinking maybe like because like 2 starts ago he faced the Angels and got absolutely annihilated. Right. It was like regression was looming, and it just decided to all hit him at once. I'm wondering if people were just selling high before that start, because I just can't imagine wanting to trade for him. There's an interesting player here because in theory, someone with a good sinker and secondaries that get whiffs can be a good player. And he absolutely does get whiffs on his slider and changeup. But the sinker, which he throws like 55% of the time, gets hit really hard. And if you're a sinker baller that doesn't get soft contact on your sinker, that's not really good. So I'm pretty disinterested.
Yeah, I think this is kind of, like we said, a meh kind of guy. He's probably on the free agent wire in a lot of 12-team and under leagues. And it's somebody that you're not too excited about. So it sounds like, hey, if he's not on my team, I'm not trying to get him, even if there is some positive, again, with the FIP, it shows that there is some potential positive regression coming, but it sounds like everybody's out on Dane Dunning.
Streamer upside.
Okay. All right. He's in the streamer category. Don't worry about him. Let's move on then to our next guy on this list, and that is Mr. Charlie Blackmon. And I will preface that all these guys' stats were as of June 2nd. Obviously yesterday when I wrote up everything, and now it looks like every single player on this list went off. So it will be one day dated here. But the days
they knew we were talking about them.
Huh?
I said they knew we were talking about them, so they performed well.
I guess it means just hit me up with whoever's on your fantasy team, and I'll put them on this list so they can perform. But Charlie Blackmon, the days of him being a superstar seems like it's over. Going into today, he had 3 homers and 0 steals, so the stolen base upside is completely gone. The ground ball percentage is way up. Line drive rate completely way down. The exit velocity is in line with his career norm. K rate is actually a career low, and he's walking more than ever. This also looks good as his O contact has gone up while his chase percentage has gone down, and he went from hitting 184 in April to 310 in May. So, Schwebs, I want to start with you on this guy. Charlie Blackmon, I guess he's starting to get hot now, so maybe the window's starting to close. Do you think he's a buy low guy?
So I have a weird thing with Charlie Blackmon where like I think like a couple of years ago he started off like a first half really poorly, and at that point I wrote him off, and I have not like let him back into my head since. I have it in my head that he's washed, and then I look at his StatCast page and it's like all red. I'm like, oh, I guess he's not. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, he's washed. But no, he's really, really, really good at one specific thing, and that is putting the ball in play. It used to be putting the ball in play with power, but that power seems to have evaporated a bit. So now what we've got is someone who sprays the ball all over the place, which is still fine in Coors Field. But this is the guy that I think he stole like 40 bases at one point. He's been a 30-plus home run guy before. And you're not getting either of those things anymore. So if you need batting average on your team, which I think the league batting average nowadays is like 230. So everyone probably needs batting average. He's a good guy to target if you need that one specific thing, but I don't think you're getting much else out of him at this point.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. Right now, he's just kind of empty batting average. The power, again, 3 homers going today, so it's not like that had been there. Doc, you were a Charlie Blackmon fanatic for a lot of his career. How you feel about Charlie Blackmon?
I mean, I would buy low on him if you can. He's actually somebody I've been targeting. I mean, he's hit 300 and 4 of that of the last 5 years. He's hit 280 the last 9 years. Figure that batting average is going to go up. It was 250 before today. It's at 262 now. Never been a huge strikeout guy, walking at a career high rate. Actually has the highest hard hit percentage of his career. I mean, you look at the Rockies lineup, Trevor Story out, Nolan Arenado traded. He doesn't have much around him. I think you buy low with the idea that he could get traded to a contender. You put him in a good lineup. I mean, we see how Arenado's doing this year, being out of Coors Field. We've seen DJ LeMahieu do it. I think just because he doesn't play half of his games in Colorado doesn't mean that he can't have fantasy value. He's a professional hitter. He's somebody that, as you said, and Schwebsy said, can spray the ball around all fields. So I would get him now before he gets really hot. I mean, keep in mind, he was hitting 400 for like the first third of the season last year.
Yeah, that's a good point. He has shown he can be streaky. He obviously can be an asset. Yancey, we have one staying away. We have one buying in. You're the tiebreaker. Where are you going with Charlie Blackmon?
So just to peel back the veil just a little bit, he's one of my most owned players in redraft leagues. I have him in a ton of NFBC leagues, and just the way I was typically kind of constructing my rosters was I was double pumping pitchers up top, and then I was primarily targeting really balanced hitters who could steal and hit for power. Then once I started getting into the middle rounds, you saw Charlie Blackmon. He was like one of those guys where he was just consistently falling because there's absolutely nothing sexy about his profile at all. However, in that range, as opposed to me reaching for the flavor of the season, like a Alec Baum or something like that, I was taking these really, really safe power speed combos and like batting average stalwarts like Charlie Blackmon. Like you literally just said this. I can't remember what the exact monthly breakdown was, but holy shit, like this guy was just batting like, closer like to 200, and all of a sudden he has like one single month and he's fine. And it's so easy to time whenever you're starting him or not, because you just start everybody in Coors. It's just an auto play. Oh, you have Josh Fuentes on your bench, start him in Coors. They have a weekend series in Coors. If you have him in NPC, slot him in. If you're in daily lineups leagues, if they're playing in Coors, it's so easy to manage him. And it's not like his draft capital is absolutely insane. He is an older player. So if you're looking for batting average help or on base percentage help, like even right now with the 250 batting average, he has a 351 on base percentage. It's just the safest play. And like, we've seen him go through these ups and downs before, but he always ends up kind of rebounding. And I'm the type of guy where I don't like to punt batting average, and I like to be good potentially at every single category. And he's just a perfect glue piece. So I'm not going out of my way. You don't have to really pay a whole lot for him, but absolutely. I can't imagine people having dropped him. I think that his track record is too extensive for you to just give up on him. But if he's sitting on the waiver, you hear me? The waiver. If he's just sitting there, like I say, go for it. I absolutely go for it. He's the most boring, productive player who's going to win you leagues.
I heard that you should try to get him if you can, and I heard that he had something about being a non-sexy profile, but I got to play the music. Oh yeah, talking about good old Charlie Blackmon.
Can we before we transition, can I say something real quick? It is really weird. I've been pretty busy the last couple of months, so I haven't been in you guys' live streams as much as I normally am. But it is weird not seeing troll comments directed at Doc, and it's only because I'm on the show. So it's kind of this weird, trying to figure out like, hey, where are the little pop-up screens, whatever. But Doc, I will say I'm very proud of you for not being on your phone yet. It looks like you're being pretty focused and like locked in, almost like you're doing it on purpose.
I have notes on my phone, so that's why I'm glancing over.
Oh, I love it. This is good, Eric. Eric needs to stay this way. He's like he's being observed for a class.
Yeah, no, ever since you made that comment where I'm like that, guy that's trying to not look. I was like, wow.
The vain kid meme.
Oh,
So
yeah,
you know what we're talking
meme.
about, right? Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hilarious. Let's go to the next guy on this list here, and that's Victor Robles, who right now going into today hitting 230 with 5 RBIs and 5 steals and 143 plate appearances. Can't say he's lived up to the hype of the guy that was basically getting shot up draft boards at the end of draft season. He's not barreling the ball at all, not hitting the ball hard. Robles has got a lot of fatigue for me. He's a guy that's been, I think every single year people are starting to be like, oh, this is the year Victor Robles puts it together, gives you the speed along with a semi-productive bat. Doc, I'll start with you for this one. How do you feel about Victor Robles going forward? Obviously he's worth nothing in points leagues, but if you're talking about Roto with the steals, how do you feel about Victor Robles?
I mean, I would try to trade him if you own him. I mean, we'll start out with the positive. He has the highest walk percentage of his career, but it's at 9.8. It's not anything that's going to jump off the charts. As he mentioned, he doesn't have a big barrel rate. It's 3.8 for his career. His stolen base upside, I mean, he's 5 for 8 this year, which isn't amazing. But I think what's kind of telling, and, you know, David, you and I being Nats fans and living in Maryland, we can attest to this. He had the Juan Soto expectations. Like, he was their highly touted prospect for the longest time.
Over Soto.
Mm-hmm.
Over Soto.
He was supposed to be like the truth. And Soto was like, oh, we're going to come up from, what was it, like A-ball or something?
Yeah.
And like nobody even cared. He was sitting on waiver wires. Like, it's so wild. Sorry.
And
I will cut you off again too, by the way, if I want to. I'm not
apologizing.
I'll do it again.
The last thing I was going to say, you know, it's bad when they have him hit 9th, when they have the pitcher hit ahead of him. Yeah. I don't think you can't get any more disrespected as a hitter than having a pitcher that's not like a Jacob deGrom or a Madison Bumgarner hitting in front of you.
I will say, though, that's sometimes strategy because they want to have 2 guys, the leadoff guy and the 9th guy back to back for like the speed purposes. So I don't necessarily know that's because of how bad he's hitting that he's hitting 9th, just at least from my thoughts. I think
if he was hitting better, they wouldn't have him hitting 9th.
That's very true.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah.
Yancey, I want to go back to you now. How you feel about Victor Robles? Is he worth anything to you?
Anything? Yeah, absolutely. He has 5 stolen bases. I mean, this is a little confirmation biasy, but I've never been particularly in on him. I don't really like the profile. I don't think he hits the ball hard. And then, like I mentioned, I'm in a ton of NFBC leagues. And then the last 2 weeks of the season, I sat there and watched his ADP just soar. And I just didn't get it. We weren't really dealing with any new information. All of a sudden, like, he's going to start hitting the ball for power and he's going to steal, a bunch of bases or something. It just didn't make sense to me. So, like, I'm kind of getting that confirmation bias of what I'd already believed, where I don't think he's a particularly talented hitter at all. I think he needs to be owned on every single league, but it doesn't necessarily have to be your roster. It's just not a player or a profile I'm particularly interested in at all. Yeah. What else is there to say? I'm sure his mom thinks he's great, but I'm not particularly interested.
Yeah. Eric, it's like someone knew you were great. It's your guy, Taijuan Walker. That's your idol.
I love Taijuan Walker. Gosh.
Whoa.
Regression
is it
Taiwan
or is it Taiwan?
I've heard both.
I think it's Taiwan. I think you're right.
I think it's Thai, like the country. But
yeah,
it's you guys' show. So
I said that last week, and somebody said no, it's Taiwan. So I said okay. Either way, he is great. He is great.
So this sounds like something you should know.
No, I'm a Mets fan, and I feel like if Gary, Keith, and Ron were calling him Taiwan all this time, I would have noticed. But it's very possible that I'm just that oblivious, and but I'm pretty sure it's Taiwan.
I think you're right. I think it is Taiwan. So hopefully, Taiwan, if you're watching the show, you don't feel too disrespected here. Fwebzy saved us here as the Mets fan, so I want to go to him next year. How do you feel about your division rival, the Nationals, Victor Robles?
So do you remember in this past offseason, we had 2 stories, one with Vlad Guerrero Jr. Slimming down and the other with Victor Robles beefing up? Yeah. Those 2 things could not have possibly gone in more opposite directions. So Victor Robles, when he debuted in 2017, had literally the single best sprint speed in baseball. He was number 1, fastest guy in baseball by that measure. Now he has lost 3 feet per second. Now he's down around guys like Bobby Dalbec instead of being the fastest person in baseball. Dalbec is quicker than you think, but he's not, he's not a burner. So he's if he's not getting you a ton of steals, I don't want him on my roster, because back before he very, very heavy quotes here, bulked up, he had basically the worst exit velos in baseball. And there was a lot of discourse like, oh, but he bunts a lot, so his bunts are being factored in, and that's why. No, it's not. He bulked up, and he still has one of the worst exit velos in baseball. He's just not that good of a hitter, and I don't really see that changing. He's walking more, which generally is a hint of upcoming production or, current better production. It's just not. I don't see it. And like you said, he's got a pretty bad success rate right now with steals. Generally, you want like that 75% success rate for like a break-even point. And he's below that. It's not great right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't really know. If you have him on your team, I guess you hold him just for the stolen bases, but I don't think too many people are going to give you much for him at this point with what he's been producing besides the stolen bases. So if you have him, just, I guess, hold on to him, especially obviously in roto leagues. And if you don't have him, I wouldn't make a huge effort to go get him. But again, 5 steals, maybe he'll have 20 by the season's end if he starts getting on base more, but we'll see how that plays out. Let's go to this next guy here, who it hurt even just typing his name on this list. It's just when you see him, this is the noise that pops in your head. You see that scary music. That is Keston Hiura, who has been an absolute just abysmal hitter so far this season. 127 batting average, 1 home run, was demoted, called back up, still has a 38.8 K percentage on the year. Yancey, do you want any of that Keston Hiura pie?
I did add him in one NFBC league for cheap. It was just kind of a keep him honest bid, and I honestly am very disappointed that I won it. I didn't even want him.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. I think I read something or heard something. I listen to everybody's podcast, so it's hard for me to have an original thought. But they were talking about how like his family's dealing with something. I can't remember if it was a mom or a dad or something like that, but like a person very close to him going through cancer and chemotherapy and just like really kind of going up against it. And I'm not putting all of it on that, but like you guys know this for people too. Like that stuff does affect you, obviously. And I can't imagine just like trying to focus on something as difficult as, hitting major league pitching while also doing this. And like they said, everybody was surprised. They're like, wow, it looks like he was really striking out a ton in AAA. Why did they bring him back up? And I think it was more so that he could be closer to his family and that he could kind of just, like every at bat that he was failing didn't kind of weigh as much because it's just AAA and it's not like he's failing at the major league level. So I don't really think that he was jettisoned to AAA as a way to kind of change anything or fix his approach. I think it was more of like they were throwing him a proverbial bone so he could be closer to his family. But in the very short term, I'm not looking to buy. He's going to absolutely tank your batting average, and I can't imagine owning him in an on-base percentage league. It is brutal. The power speed combo is interesting. I think long term, I might be interested in buying if somebody's really looking to sell low. But for the rest of this year, at least, I think I'm mostly going to be staying away. In the one league I do own him in, I think he's likely going to be the first drop of the weekend.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there. Schwebzy, do you feel any differently about him?
Well, after Yancey said all that, I feel like if I say anything negative about Keston Hiura, that I'm just an absolute monster.
Which you could be without
I might be.
Anything.
I don't need this to prove that. I know I'm a monster.
Yancey, are you on your phone?
That's none of your business. Okay.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
How the turntables.
So Schwebzy, I'm curious. Yeah. I know obviously we could just keep beating Keston Hiura down to a pulp. I'm more curious in Dynasty now. Are you trying to sell him in Dynasty? Like, are you like, I'm trying to get out of this if you have him, or are you just holding on hoping that he finds it back again?
That's the one place where I might consider picking him up is in Dynasty, because I feel like this is just going to wind up being a lost year. I don't have any faith that he's going to suddenly start striking out like 15 or 20% less. For a redraft, it's the hardest to pass. I'm not picking him up on if he's on the waiver wire or the waiver, whatever it is. Dynasty. If he's on, if I have a spot on my bench, I'll pick him up. But like, if you offer me him in a trade in redraft, then I'm blocking your number and like unfriending you on social media. I don't want anything to do with him.
That's pretty.
So this is why I wanted to bring you on the show. That's exactly why, in a sentence. So that Doc, good luck following that. Go ahead.
Well, I think we're chasing the 2019 where he hit 303 with 19 homers, 51 RBIs, and 9 stolen bases in 51 games. But he's hitting 127 this year. You mentioned the high K rate, 6.9% walk percentage for his career.
Nice.
I mean, he's nice. He's 1 for 27 with 12 K since getting recalled. And I think everybody thinks that he just struck out a lot in the majors. But even in the minors, like when he got demoted, he hit 438, but his K rate was 34.2%. In 2019, when he was in AAA, it was 26.3%. So no matter what level he is, he's striking out a lot. And his Z contact rate is bad. And that's the percentage of balls a hitter makes contact with in the strike zone. So.
Well, we're over a year in this show, and Eric used Z contact for the first time. Where's your cheering button? Hold on, where's your cheering?
Give me that one person cheer.
There you go.
And you know when you said Art's not going to be here and the analysis is going to be bad for me, I had to step up my game a little bit.
Yeah, I
Very
can tell.
impressive.
Thank you.
I just blamed his family. That's...
Your one person's always there for you, Eric, and he was very impressed, or she, whoever it is.
Thank you.
Can I just say real quick before we move along? I like to keep doing this in hijacking shows. I owe you an apology, Doc. Okay, I was tagged in the initial tweet for this live stream, and the Triple Play Fantasy engagement bump is real. So like my phone's just sitting here buzzing, and I understand now why you're looking at your phone during streams, because it's popping off. It is popping off. So
wait, am I getting engagement? Should I be looking at my phone right now?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Let's just all ignore David and just go on our phone.
This is turning into a phone podcast. Eric, look what you started.
It's a revolution.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's go to our Yancey, your guy, Austin Beautiful Meadows, Dancing Field Meadows here. Hit a homer today, but going into today at 13 homers, 39 RBIs, had 2 steals. Here's the thing I'm going to question you about, though. He's got a 240 batting average, but he's hitting 170 against left-handed pitching, 266 against righties. Now, I think people look at Austin Meadows, they're like, hey, this is an everyday bat that you feel comfortable in your lineup. Are you concerned about that serious platoon split right there, that he might start sitting a lot more against lefties if he hasn't already been sitting a lot against them?
Let me be choice with my words. I'm not super concerned that he's going to be sitting a lot versus lefties, but I do think that you'll see him resting. Hey, look at that. Sammy's here and with a roast as always. But I always lose my train of thought so bad. Everybody knows this too. This is why people like blow up the comments whenever I'm like on streams. I literally cannot focus. I'm like staring at it.
Yancey, how do you think I feel?
Yeah, really, it's brutal. And then of course Mindy just like puts it up every single time. So it's like, okay, here we go. But who are we talking about? Miguel Cabrera? What are we talking about?
Austin Meadows.
Choi.
Oh, long story short, yes, because this podcast can't be 3 hours long. I'm not super worried about him sitting all the time versus lefties. I mean, Brandon Lau is struggling immensely against lefties, and they still roll him out almost every single day. I think you'll find versus a really difficult lefty, sometimes they're using that as a way to get bench pieces into the lineup and stuff. But I'm not super concerned. I feel like the Rays roster in the next month and a half is going to look a lot different than it does now. I think Kiermaier gets moved. That's a lefty. I think Brasso is a DFA candidate. They just got rid of Tsutsugo a couple of weeks ago. And of course, we have Vidal Brujan and Adames just sitting there waiting in the wings. Josh Lowe is like heating up in AAA too. So this team could look a lot different. And so there is a possibility that they, maybe they do sit him a little bit and, they try to keep his bat in the lineup versus righties. And sometimes that entails him DHing and stuff, but he's going to be playing enough to make it White Sox 2021 champs.
Our guy, Nick.
Who is that? Why'd you put that up on the board?
Nick's he's a good buddy of ours.
Yeah, I'm just joking. I'm sure he's the best. But yeah, man, this is so hard. This is why I don't podcast all the time. I am not polished.
I'm testing you.
Yeah, it's really distracting. I have to like put my hand underneath it like this. Yeah, Austin Meadows is really good. I hope you guys bought low whenever you could have, because he was an obvious regression candidate in a positive way. He hits the ball hard. Yes, he is an awful defender, but who honestly cares? And I think he's there's a chance that he goes 35-10 and is a AL MVP contender in all seriousness. So, and especially watch whenever that lineup gets better around him. There, I'm done.
Is that good?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
The buy low window is closed, according to the number one Rays guy, Yancey Eaton. I agree. I think it's probably hard to get him now. I am curious, Schwebzy. So I was offered a trade. I will not say by who. I was offered a trade of Austin Meadows for Luis Castillo. Now, if you're the Luis Castillo owner, this was again maybe a week ago. Would that be a trade you would make?
So that is a very much obviously a sell low on Castillo.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I have faith in Castillo long term. I think he's going to figure it out. I don't think there need to be too many tweaks for Castillo to be good, but we also can't forget that before his abysmal 2020, Austin Meadows was like much more highly regarded. So like it wasn't quite like second round where Castillo was getting drafted this year, but like, you know, Meadows was what, like a third rounder coming into 2020, something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
So I don't think that. Yeah, I'm fine with that, and I don't think it's as I don't think it's as wide of a gap as it seems like right now.
So
I'd
you
be
would
fine with
agree
that.
with
Team need.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, Meadows, I think, and Mike Curlin did a nice job breaking this down when he did one of his video things that he put together when he talked about his launch angle and he was hitting the ball too high. And I think hopefully he's looked like he's adjusted that some. He's been a very good investment for a lot of people there. So let's move then to another guy. And I don't know how his name was on this list. So we can just give really quick advice on this. Nate Pearson pitched in one game so far this year. He got 3 runs in 2.1 innings, had 5 walks. So I'm pretty sure, can we all agree he's pretty much just waiver wire material this year?
No, he's the next Alek Manoah.
So then
I was really excited when I saw that Nate Pearson had like a 31% K rate and a 0% walk rate, and then I realized it was the other way around, and I stopped caring.
So I'm curious, Schwabs, I'll go back to you for this. Dynasty, because this year it looks like he's not worth anything. Dynasty, are you concerned about? I'm kind of concerned as he's already had some injuries. He's already kind of gotten the lust worn off with Alek Manoah as the new toy that comes into play here. Are you worried if you're a Nate Pearson owner long term right now?
I don't think so. I mean, you all have heard Tin Snap. There is no such thing as a pitching prospect. Every time I
own that handle. I own that Twitter handle.
Really?
Yeah, except Twitter locked me
really
out of it,
cool.
so technically Twitter owns it now. But yeah.
Yeah, so every time I say that, I have to go on my fingers. There is no such thing as it. Yeah. But anyway, like how many pitching prospects have we seen come up, pitch 1 or 2 games and get annihilated so far? Like Daniel Lynch was abysmal. Alek Manoah had a really rough second start after looking great in his first start. And I know there's more that I'm forgetting off the top of my head.
Logan Gilbert.
Gilbert. Oh, my, yeah. That's another one. I'm not super concerned. Another common phrase, development is not linear. Like it's he's striking out like 2 guys per inning in the minors right now. It's only 9 innings, but he's got something like I want to say it's like 17 Ks in 9 innings or something. Yeah, it's a company with a 5 ERA, which isn't great, but like he's maybe the fastball is overpowering for minor leaguers, but major leaguers can hit it. I don't know, but I'm not soured on him because of 2 bad innings in the majors. Like that's ridiculous. We can't write guys off that quickly.
Well, I was also referencing because when he was pitching some last year too, he was struggling at the major league level as well. And I know sometimes people are very nearsighted and they say, hey, he's been in the league part of 2 seasons now and he's looked absolutely abysmal. Am I should I give him up on him while he's pretty much at this point has any value left, I guess?
No, I don't think so. I think he's a hold because his value is never going to, well, I guess it could get lower than this if he just completely flames out, but this is probably a nadir until he completely flames out. So I'm not selling him.
Yancey, do you agree? Holding on?
I mean, I can't imagine a scenario in redraft where I would even own him. I mean, the back end of the Jays rotate. Is he still in the Blue Jays? It shows what a prospect fiend I am. Yeah, let's just keep this short. No, I'm not interested this year. He seems like he's immensely talented, and I do think that we as a community have a tendency to overhype elite prospects, both hitting and pitching. And then the moment they fail, we kind of throw them out with the bathwater almost way too soon. And, like there's plenty of people that have egg on their face because Mike Trout hit 200 for the first month in the majors. You know what I mean? So, I mean, yeah, long-term, absolutely. I'm looking to buy. This is not a stash candidate at all. I'm not keeping him on my bench. Just let him go. And then hopefully, he kind of puts it together a little bit later in his career.
Do you know, I heard that expression for the first time yesterday.
Wow. It's like the Jeopardy effect.
Yeah. It's like a powerful saying. I'm like, oh, wow. Like I look stupid. No, it's very true. People, I think, get too trigger happy with picking up a guy. I've seen Logan Gilbert drop the ton already. For people that were after the first couple starts, and he has turned it around. He's looked a lot better. He had his first quality start, his last start. So it just shows you, like Schwebsy said, not everybody's progress is linear, and you can't give up on guys this quickly. But yeah, as far as redraft purposes, Nate Pearson probably can just stay on the waiver wire for now. No need to try to roster him. Let's go to a very polarizing guy next. That's Christian Yelich. Stats are down all across the board. Ks are up. He's not hitting the ball nearly as hard as he has the last couple of years. The question is here, and I'm going to start with you, Doc. If you have Christian Yelich, are you going to sell him for 75 cents on the dollar, 50 cents on the dollar? Or you know what? You're like, unless I'm getting 100% value on him, I'm going to just ride him and hope he finds a hot streak.
I'm actually going to trade him. And this hurts because I was very big on Christian Yelich coming into this year. But I think his name is going to carry the value because when you look at his production, it's not there. And after his 2019 season where he came in second in MVP, he's hit 217. I think the fractured kneecap he has made him a little less aggressive. If you extrapolated the last 2 seasons and put it over 162 games, he would have 22 stolen base attempts. He had, I think, 34 during that 2019 season in about 138 games. The last 2 seasons, his K rate is 30.8 and 34.1. He was a career 20.1% guy prior to those. And his launch angle has gone drastically down, similar to where it was in the Marlins days when he was 11 to 13 home run hitter. So I'm very worried for Yelich, and that's not even saying the back issue he has. When he came out and said this year, I don't feel good, that to me says that it could be something bigger than a back, maybe an illness, fingers crossed that it isn't. But that's what I associate when I hear I don't feel good. It doesn't sound like an injury.
So are you accepting 75 cents on the dollar for him?
Yeah, because look, if he gets shut down, you'd rather get some value for him than nothing at all.
Okay. If I offer you Teoscar Hernandez right now, are you taking it?
Yeah.
But
I'm a Teoscar guy, so.
If I offer you Trent Grisham, are you taking it?
When he's off the IL.
He's banged up a lot too, though. I'm like, man, what's up with you, bro? Like, it's like 3 or 4 times a year he's hurt.
I'm not going to trade Christian Yelich for someone on the IL.
Okay.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense.
Yancey.
Lateral move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yancey, how are you feeling about Christian Yelich?
I'm not as invested. Man, I don't know. I fell off a ladder, like a little step stool ladder, like 6 months ago, and my back still hurts. Like, and it affects me all the time. I feel it, and I'm 30. I have to ask my wife how old I am. I can't remember if I'm 32 or if I'm 30. I'm 32. I'm 32. And that shit still hurts. It's still tearing me up. And I can imagine, like, baseball is so difficult. This is really scientific and stats driven, by the way. You guys are really in for one. It's so difficult as is. And you never hear these stories like, yeah, pitchers are always banged up. They're always pitching hurt. I understand that. But like, you never hear the stories about like a hitter winning an MVP award or a silver slugger and saying like, I was hurt all year. It's just impossible. You know what I mean? Like the margins for being one of the best hitters in the game is just, nobody ever says I used to have back problems. Absolutely.
Sammy's a wise man.
Yeah.
Man, but God, do I lose my train of thought too easily? It's unbelievable. I am concerned.
We're gonna get you past this, Yancey. We're gonna get you past this.
Yes. All right. Let me power through. I could do this. All right. Ooh, woosah. Okay. Yes, I'm concerned. Yes, this is not what I was expecting. And yes, if you write off every single player that has an injury, a knee injury, or a back injury, you're going to miss out on Max Scherzer this year, who's balling out, right? Mm-hmm. You kind of have to pick your spots and, hope for the best. I was a little snake bitten by this, but I do think, he's going to be fine next year. I hope. If I could take a Teoscar Hernandez, I would do it. If I would take who's some people that was going later than him. If I could take Jordan Alvarez, I'll take him.
Castellanos.
I would. Hell yeah, I'll take Castellanos. You want to give me Jesse Winker? I'll take Jesse Winker. There's a ton of players like that I would take, but
Trey Mancini.
Yeah, I love Trey Mancini. He's one of my most fun players. So okay. That's a great pull. That's a great pull, and he's outfield eligible too. So yeah, I love that. Yes, I'm concerned. Yes, I talk way too much. Shrubs, I'm so sorry. You're just sitting there like just zoned out. You don't even know what to say. You're just sitting there quietly.
I'm just gazing into your eyes. It's fine.
No, your eyes are pretty. Like literally do a close up. You should turn the lights up so everybody can see what your eyes are.
That's how I introduced it. The blue eyes just like light up the whole screen. So it's. Schwebzy, I can't even talk because I'm so mesmerized right now. Go ahead and talk about Christian Yelich.
So, like Doc said, he's got like a negative launch angle right now. That means, that's really, really bad. We don't want to see that. And Yancey, I'm actually of the opposite opinion with back injuries. Like I think I'm very risk averse when it comes to fantasy, maybe too risk averse, I'll just write off basically anybody with a back injury, because I mean sometimes you get a Clayton Kershaw or a Scherzer and they shake off a back injury to have a lot of productive years. Sometimes you get a David Wright. Maybe that's why I don't like back injuries, because it ruined my franchise. But yeah, it doesn't take much for a really good major league hitter to become a not really good major league player.
Yeah,
like the margins are super thin. They call it a game of inches for a reason. You remember last year when everyone was freaking out about Christian Yelich's sky-high strikeout rate at the start of the year? It's higher now. It's not. It's not good.
Yeah.
I would most of those guys that we just mentioned, I would make that trade. But I roster Yelich in 0 leagues because I was terrified at the start of the season.
Subtle brag.
That's a very smart call. I mean, it's
if you saw the rest of my injured list, you wouldn't think so.
I'm convinced nobody has more TGFBI injuries than me.
Listen, you can drop players. Okay. I tweeted this out last week. This is a little bit of a sensitive subject for me. I get everybody's upset and everybody's like, look at all these injured players I have. Then drop them. You have to make drops. You cannot. I see people taking 2-3 zeros in my TGFBI league, and I just wonder what's going on.
Are you going to drop Jack Flaherty?
Like, I don't know what to tell you. No, don't drop. Don't be cute. You know what I'm talking about.
No, are you going to drop? Are you going to drop Zach Plesac?
Listen, Slick. Yeah, I've dropped Zach Plesac.
Okay,
I have dropped.
I'm naming my team for you to see if I would drop them.
Zach Plesac's value is predicated on volume, right? Yeah. He has already shown us he is not. By the time he comes back, he could be having short starts, or they can have him do like the whole Jesus Luzardo thing where like he's basically a bullpen arm while he gets ramped back up. We don't even know how long he's going to be gone yet. We still even don't have like a definitive timetable on his return. You guys got to drop people. You guys have to make tough decisions. You cannot be taking zeros, and you cannot leave yourself a zero flexibility to where you're playing matchups on a weekend like in NFPC where you could swap out for your hitters on Fridays. Like I've never understood that. Like I've seen people who are still holding like Paul DeJong. What are you doing? Like, is this your first league? Drop him, just drop him.
I don't know about you, Doc, you, Dave, but this is not the first time I've been lectured about my TGFBI team live on stream by Yancey.
Yeah, this is the first time I've been lectured, and I feel like I'm being attacked because my entire bench is injured.
Yeah, I'll DM you my roster, and you can tell me who to drop, who to keep.
All right. My wife will send you my consulting fee paperwork.
Okay.
So
there we go.
Beautiful.
We got 3 guys left on this list. Let's talk about Aaron Nola. He's been fine, a 3.84 ERA, over a K per 9. K percentage is right around his career norms. Line drive rates are down, even though the fly balls are up. But most of all, he seems like he's been pretty stable. So I'm not exactly sure why he was the 8th most traded player on this list. So if you have Aaron Nola, is there any reason to not think he's going to be a top 10 starting pitcher most likely the rest of the season?
I mean, I think I have him like right around top 10. I mean, he may be a little bit under that just because just about every single pitcher that we were drafting in the first couple of rounds has just been nails outside of Luis Castillo. So, I mean, he kind of looks worse than that just because he's not absolute gangbusters right now. And I know he kind of got, who was it? The Marlins that touched him up last start, I think. So maybe that was just a little bit reactionary by people and, whatever, like he's one of the few aces that isn't overperforming, but yeah, absolutely. Like I want him, like give me him everywhere. If you could possibly buy low and ship somebody a 4th or 5th rounder before the season started for him, absolutely do it. I have 0 worries.
Doc, really quick, just give me a thumbs up because I feel like you're going to list all his statistics, but we can just pretty much just say yay or nay.
Yeah, I mean, I'd buy him. He's had a couple bad starts at Boston or at Atlanta and versus Boston. He's on pace to throw for 200 innings plus for the 3rd consecutive year. He's one of the few pitchers that's durable.
I was going to say you're ignoring what I just said. Okay. I'm glad you stopped yourself there.
An absolute power move that I personally respect. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Schwebzy, finish out this discussion for Aaron Nola. Is there anything that we don't see here that you want to trade him for or anything?
No, the strikeout rate's a little bit lower than last year, but last year was 2 months long. Like I'm not super concerned. His ERA is a bit above all of his ERA predictors. So I'm not really concerned. And even if he did keep performing at like exactly this level for the rest of the year, like this was within the range of outcomes for Aaron Nola at the start of the year. Like this isn't super disappointing. This is just like a bad Aaron Nola year.
No, I agree. So sounds like steady as she goes for Aaron Nola. Let's
I
get
trade
to
for him.
Yeah, I think he's a good target if anybody's panicking that they think he's not the normal Aaron Nola. Let's go to another player that is. I'll be interested to hear what you guys say about him for redraft purposes. We all know in Dynasty how we feel about this guy, and that's Jared Kelenic. He's slow out of the gates with a 111 batting average, 2 homers and 3 steals. He's got a 25% K percentage, which is actually pretty respectable for a rookie in the big leagues. But he's hitting the ball in terms of exit velocity. It's under league average right now. So he's not exactly hitting the ball hard. I have actually held him or stashed him in a couple redraft leagues. So I'm not planning on dropping him, I guess, if you basically have held him that long. But Schwebzy, if you have Christian Yelich, are you concerned at all for 2021 in redraft that he's not going to produce anywhere near what you expected this season?
So Kelenic, another player that I own, I have 0 shares of, but this is because I just wasn't willing to pay the price because he went basically higher than I expected pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's this hyper confident player that's never failed before. I'm not totally surprised that he's, not like he experienced a couple of bad games and it's kind of snowballing. I'm not super surprised by this. So I don't think I want a piece of him in redraft. There's absolutely a world in which he goes off and performs like gangbusters in the second half of the year. But that's not going to be for any of my teams just because, again, risk averse. And it's not something I'm willing to bet on. I don't think that's a high percentile outcome. Mm-hmm. But I do want to very briefly pull a Yancey here and hijack things just for a second for a personal anecdote. So I think the reason that Kelenic is on this list is because of all the hype. The smart move, especially in redraft, was to acquire him or draft him and hold him until the peak of his value, which was the day he got called up or the day he hit his first home run, and then immediately move him. Someone in my AL only league spent big fab dollars on Andrew Vaughn, Kelenic, and Kirilloff, and then traded them for Mike Trout, Alex Verdugo, Josh Donaldson. And I'm just like in awe of that. I'm like, good on you, man. Like that's the way to do it. That is the right way to handle these big prospect call-ups. That's all I got. I'm just that is when you should be trading a player like Jared Kelenic.
That's very good advice for everybody that's listening out there. I mean, if you're able to get that type of a price for these guys, and people I think are becoming smarter and smarter with these big name prospects. It's like if you're in most of these leagues, you've heard of these guys. You've heard of the Jared Kelenics, right? You've heard of the Andrew Vaughns because they're all being talked about. They're on the front page of every fantasy baseball site. So people think, oh wow, I'm going to get the next big thing. Yeah, maybe you can capitalize and get some value like that. It's a really good piece of advice in there. Yancey, how are you feeling about Jared Kelenic?
Just a very quick exercise. Let's do some revisionist history and go back and look at the ADPs. Right up until the season started, do you guys want to take a guess what his ADP was? Very quickly.
He was definitely, wasn't he? He was in the top 100, I'm pretty sure, wasn't he? Didn't he creep in there?
Kelenic? No.
Like top 200? 181?
He finished on, this is NFBC, mind you, so I know people play on different platforms and stuff. So depending on site rankings, it obviously affects a lot. I'm going just off of NFBC. His ADP was 192nd overall, right?
Okay.
Just after him, you could have taken Jesse Winker at 197. You could have taken Austin Riley at pick 200. You could have taken Chris Taylor, who's been amazing at 205. Jared Walsh, who's been one of the best value picks regardless of format all season long. So the point remains here is like, what did all those other players have in common? They broke camp in the majors. They were playing all year long. We knew that they were going to break camp and they were going to be playing, right? That is a major part of being able to help your fantasy team is you have to physically play. I don't have Kelenic anywhere. This isn't the type of move that I make. And you guys have to understand that, like, sometimes, not you guys, generally speaking, vaguely gesturing at everybody, you're going to miss outliers sometimes if you're not the guy that's constantly drafting prospects. That's just the nature of the beast. Like sometimes you're going to get a prospect who's going to pop off and you're going to miss out and you're going to feel like you have egg on your face because you don't have any. But I promise you, more times than not, if you sit this out and you don't pay top 200 ADP pricing on a hitter like this, who they were basically forecasting the entire offseason, hey, like, we don't bring these players up. We know that we're not going to be competing, like, that leaked tape and stuff like that. Like, they're not just going to completely scrap 3 years worth of rebuild to bring him up in order to save face. Like, no, we knew that it was going to be a while for him to come up. The second point I'm going to add to this is he's leading off every single day, which I like this long term because it says, hey, listen, they're giving him development. They're letting him get his reps in. I do appreciate this. And the very short term, however, for me to see him, I believe he is left-handed, right? I'm not misremembering. Yeah, he's a lefty.
Sure, I'll double check.
Yeah, him leading off versus a lefty, not a big fan of that. Why? Because now instead of him going 0 for 4 versus a lefty because he's really struggling, now he's going 0 for 5. And it's going to tank his batting average even more. So you're watching him take his lumps in real time and you're just eating it. He has 2 home runs and 3 stolen bases. He's not helping your fantasy team. Name value aside, he's detrimental to your team right now. He is basically trying to think of a really bad middle infielder who has like no power.
John
Homeboy from the
Cano.
Angels.
And Robinson Simmons.
Robinson Cano
Homeboy
has
from the-
more WAR than Jared
Rojas?
Kelenic.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. No, Rojas is good, dude. Don't put some respect in your name. But yes, the point is I don't like seeing him lead off against lefties like this. I don't like the fact that he's absolutely tanking my batting average. It's the Jock Peterson effect. Like everybody's like, yeah, cool, let's move him up because he's going to hit every single day. Do you really want Jock Peterson hitting every single day against lefties? No, you don't. So redraft, yeah, I mean, you're stuck with him. You can't really drop him. And David Fletcher, by the way, was the name of the middle infielder I was thinking of. I just saw that. But yeah, long term, I think he's going to be an absolute stud. But this year, I didn't see the value proposition there, and I still don't.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it doesn't help. I mean, there are some very respected analysts out there that after that first game, we're already calling him a top 30 outfielder rest of season. And that's, again, when I think people can get caught up in that. And like Schwebzy said, that's the time you got to sell if you really don't think that long-term this is going to stick. And he is actually a lefty. Yeah, so you're right, Yancy. Let's move to the last guy here real quickly. Let's talk about Yoan Moncada. Moncada. Y'all come back now, you hear? He's a streaky player. He's a streaky player. He's been heating up, though. Batting average just crossed 300. He's got 4 homers. No speed, though. He's got 0 steals this year. I think people were buying in that he was going to actually steal some bags for you, too. His K percentage is in line with what his 2019 season was, that career year, and not what the 2020 season was looking like. He's walking in an elite rate this season, too. So if you have Yoan Moncada, Yancy, are you what are you doing with him?
Well, I will say over the last weekend, I had a second chance draft that I took part in, and I bought him. He fell a lot further than I thought he should have. And for whatever reason, like people just aren't enamored with the profile. I know everybody was expecting a lot more stolen bases in his career. I remember at one point, like he was literally like hyped up as like he was like the number 1 prospect for like 2 or 3 years, wasn't he? It was like he was it for a while, and then we had Buxton for 2 or 3 years, we had Jerkson Profile for a couple of years, and like the speed just isn't there. But I do think that this is a really talented hitter. I want as many pieces of that lineup as I possibly can. I still think even without Luis Robert, even without Eloy, I do think that the pieces around him start hitting better. I don't expect Yasmani Grandal to, whatever that stat line is, I think he's going to start hitting a little bit more. I think Andrew Vaughn is a talent waiting to explode. I want as many pieces as I can. I think he's really talented. Yes, I'm buying. And like I said, I bought him this last weekend.
Doc, I appreciate you just sitting in the background and just listening. I just want to say I appreciate you, buddy.
Hey, David.
Very reflective. You guys have such brother energy. Like it's hard to explain unless you have a brother. But yes, you guys have it.
Eric. Fist pound me.
Oh, wait. Okay.
It's always the opposite.
Nice.
Schwebzy, finish this one out for us. Yoan Moncada. Are you trading for him? What are you doing with Yoan Moncada?
All right. So I just have 2 things to say about Moncada. First thing, if you were not aware, he has a music video out.
I've heard that.
That was my face when I saw that. It's good. It's surprisingly good.
Whoa. It's not good, but it's not
It's
the worst.
It's one of the better athlete tracks I've ever heard. It's a low bar. That's a low bar, but it's
better than Trevor Bauer's stuff. I will say that.
You're just making the bar even lower.
Is it a rap video or like what kind of music is it?
I don't know the term for it. It's like maybe it's Spanish language, like R&B kind of. I don't know the right term, but all right. So onto the actual baseball stuff. This is an incredibly really like rudimentary, simplistic way of looking at things, but actually, and this is no longer accurate because he just hit a home run.
Like everybody on this list.
Yeah, I know. He hit a home run literally like as we were getting into this room. 116 players in baseball have at least 10 barrels, and before tonight, only 3 of them had fewer home runs than Moncada.
Wow.
Like he barrels the ball at a pretty good rate. Like the power is going to come if you want Moncada, and you should, because I like these guys. I very much believe in the profile. Try to trade for him, and in your trade talks, hammer home the fact that he only has 4 or 5 home runs. Not or 5. He does have 5 now. Hammer home that fact and try to get a discount and try to acquire him.
Couldn't have said it any better. And that barreling stat is a great stat to know. And again, if you're in like Schwabsy said, if you're in a league where they're just looking at the counting stats, it's a great way to look at the underlying numbers and be able to buy low on a guy that people might not know that that's coming. So great piece of advice there. I want to move to the next part of the show here, and that's going to start with the question of the week. Oh yeah, are you guys big Price is Right people? No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
And
Who isn't?
I was a big.
I don't
Price is
trust
Right
anyone who
person.
isn't.
We just didn't have cable growing up, so like basic network TV, you just watch whatever's on. So like, yeah, hell yeah, I love Price is Right. I love Matlock. Like that's all we got to watch.
Oh, it's like I almost knew that's what you were going to say. That's why I picked that that drop there. I wish I was that psychic. Well, we are, of course, sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight, the official affiliate to Monkey Knife Fight is Triple Play, the fastest growing sports betting site in the United States. Use promo code Triple Play and get up to $100 of your deposit matched when you become a new user and you use our code. And if you're looking to win big, make sure you check out the Triple Play Monkey Knife Fight shows. Every single Sunday, they give you a 10 to 15 minute show to give you our locks to help you win some of that cold, hard cash. All right. So our question this week, Eric came up with it, and he said, you know what? With Yancey coming on, it has to do something with housing. So he said, which MLB player do you think has the nicest house? Mm-hmm. So Yancey, why don't you start it off? Who do you think has, I mean, luckily if we're not talking football, we don't have to talk about Cliff Kingsbury because he would have already won that. But since we're talking baseball,
white. Just everything's got to be dirty all the time. Yeah. Too much white.
Listen, I need to be honest with you guys. I am a realtor. My wife loves it when I talk about this on podcasts. Oh my God, she loves it. Like, please talk about your job. Please tell people what you do. She loves it. But anyways, I do have access to look most of this stuff up. Yeah, you guys can look at articles and stuff like that. I could find anything.
Yeah. Give us the scoop.
I mean, Mendy, you could buy a shed in your backyard. As long as you got a permit for it, I can find it and find out how nice your shed is, right?
Challenge accepted.
For active Major League Baseball players, the list is kind of boring. And I will say this, I've noticed a trend with active baseball players, and I don't really know why, but they like having the pool in the front yard, which not a fan.
This is insider information.
But why though?
Yeah. I don't know. And this is something you don't really see it down here in Florida a lot. The pool's always in the backyard. If you're really rich, you got it up on the second floor. So that's kind of weird. That's just a random aside. But I will say this. I did some extensive research, and I hate to say this. He's not an active player, but it's not even comparison. If you like modern, sleek, clean lines, metallic, whites, grays, just super, super clean, gigantic pool, lush man, just perfect landscaping, everything like that. A-Rod has the sickest house you can possibly imagine.
I've heard.
And it sucks because
that's on brand.
Because he sucks. He's kind of a dork. He's kind of like I don't know. He's like an alien, whatever. I don't know. I'm sure he's a great guy. He's a great dad, whatever. But man, his house is so sick, and it's not even close. Like, and I probably looked up 50 houses, just Googling names and stuff. Evan Longoria, if you guys like Spanish style houses, like actual like Spain, that type of thing. Pretty sick little house. Blake Snell had a pretty cool house. It was like his stream house. He had like, vintage arcade games. And
I was going to say he's a gamer.
He's a gamer. And it literally looks like a place that's like, oh, hey, like I'm like a random like shit poster that like won a $50 million contract. And it looks just exactly like you'd think his house looks like. And I love Blake Snell. That's not a knock. I love him. But yeah, A-Rod, it's not even close, man. His house is just, look it up when you guys get a chance. It is online publicly, but it is so sick.
I should have had you go last because good luck to Schwebsy that has to follow that.
Oh, I'm up for the challenge. So I follow an Instagram account called Zillow Gone Wild. I assume
that's a thing.
That is a thing. It's actually a fantastic account because it's both hilarious and eye-opening. And Derek Jeter sold his house recently, and it was like a cat. It was literally like fashioned like a castle, and I love it. Was the most absurd thing that the most absurd millionaire thing I've ever seen. But I took this question much differently than Jans did, and I said that the player with the nicest house would probably be Matt Carpenter.
Well,
I was like, wait a second, hold on.
But obviously, the player with the nicest bathrooms would be Albert Pujols.
Oh, you're on fire.
Right, this is actually better.
Follow up these two.
Even I'll admit this is better than my response. I took it so literally, and you were literally.
Just so you guys know, there were a lot of misfires getting there because I was going to say that the best house would probably belong to Mark Mulmansion.
Oh my gosh.
And the worst landlord in the MLB would probably be Shane B and Bieber.
Holy cow!
They weren't all
with
gold.
these puns. You're money with these puns.
Holy crap!
I mean, Schwebzy, we're both married, but can I marry you?
Yeah, get in line. Get in line.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's real estate in Utah look like? We can do that. So I spent more time on that than I did the other stuff. So that's the result of that.
I'm following Zillow Gone Wild. They're getting a new Instagram follower.
It's so good.
You just, I think you answered the question better than the original intent of it. So no hating there. Doc, do you even want to answer at this point? Because I actually don't want to answer anymore. So
I'm going to say Max Scherzer because I had a friend that did some contract work. And he literally texts me. He says, yo, I'm at Max Scherzer's house right now, or my crew's at Max Scherzer's house. It is insane. I didn't see a picture of it, but that's the only thing insight I have.
I'll say something else real quick too. Justin Verlander, predictably awesome house. Some of the sickest, like just most badass houses you guys can imagine is the players who've been around for a really long time and they got one or two massive contracts. Somebody's house I thought was like kind of like relatively tame considering how much he's worth. Clayton Kershaw's house, not a fan.
I was going to notice my pick.
Was it really?
I was
not
like
my style.
Well, no,
I didn't know anything about it. They showed a picture of his house on they had like a ESPN article about him.
Well, and I was like, he was the richest player in baseball a few years ago, and he lives in California. I was like, that has to equal a dream house, right?
That'll get you a studio in California.
Listen, do not get me wrong. Okay, if he dangled the keys in front of me and said, "Yo, bro," I would take it. It's nice. It is really, really nice. I'm just talking about stylistically, and you've noticed this with a lot of MLB players. I think you guys know this. It's kind of like an open secret that Major League Baseball doesn't really talk about, but like, it is a very like red conservative like player pool, right?
Yeah.
Ideologically speaking. So a lot of these houses is it's not so much about the house as it is like they own a bunch of land somewhere. That's what a lot of these super, super rich Major League Baseball players are. And so it ends up being like the house is just like a regular, like big mansion. There's like a bunch of windows and shit. Like it's like really whatever, but they own like 200 acres like back home or something.
You know what was the best? Remember before the season last year, a bunch of players were posting videos of them throwing in their backyard and Joe Kelly broke a window. From his backyard, it looks like he has a nice house.
Yep.
I could see that. All right. Well, that was one of the best questions of the week I think we've ever done. That was just absolutely awesome.
Retiring after that one. I don't need to come up with anything
Schwebzy,
else.
I'm honestly really proud of you, dude. That was so...
Thank you.
That was incredible. Well, let's go into the last segment of the night, and that is going to be our game of the week. Oh, yeah. Throw the Dukes. Here we go. All right. Doc, you are hosting this game. What are we playing?
So this is the name game. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you two players their first names, and they share the same last name. You're going to say your name, and I'm going to call whoever gets it first to buzz in. And if you get it, awesome. If you get a point. If not, then you're out for that question, and we go to somebody else. So I have 8 here, and I have a couple tiebreakers if necessary.
Wait, I literally was watching you and I wasn't even looking at my phone or anything, and I don't understand. So can you just repeat it again?
So like, I'm going to tell you two people that have the same last name. So for example, if I say Aviciel and Lurie.
Garcia.
Yeah. But you would buzz in your name first. You would say Yancey.
Okay.
What if I say Yancey's name?
Yeah.
then Yancey gets the answer for you.
So if I
Okay.
think he doesn't know, that's a viable strategy.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow, you're playing
That's thinking.
4D chess. Let's go.
So I'm
baby.
actually going to implement that rule. If you call somebody else's name and they can't answer it, then they're out for that question.
That's good. I like it.
All right, you guys
Hold on,
ready?
I have to spell my name with a Sharpie so I don't screw it up. Hold on.
And I'll keep score because I am your guys' mother.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
All right, you ready? Number 1, Bryce and Justin.
David Harper.
No.
Oh,
Chris
Yancey.
Schwebzy.
Wilson.
Yes.
oh,
I knew it. I had it.
That's a
All
good
right.
one. That's a good misdirect starting off with Bryce.
yeah. You got me good because I
So
remember.
wait,
What was his brother's name? What's Bryce Harper's brother's name?
I think Brian or Brandon or something.
I think you're right. I think it's Brian.
All right.
I was gonna be mean and say who cares, but
Oh, there we go.
so wait. So
two-
does Mendy have negative points? Is that how that works?
No, I'm not that mean.
That would be
Thank
cool.
goodness. Thank
All right,
goodness.
all right, go ahead.
Number 2, Miguel and Josh.
Chris
Schwebzy.
Rojas.
Damn it.
Yes, sir.
That was on the tip of my tongue too. I literally had it.
I came to play, guys. I came to play.
Two for two. All right. Number 3,
Go for the sweep.
Seth and JoJo.
Yancey. Romero.
Yes, sir. Yancey's
Where's
on the
Seth
board.
Romero?
That was good.
I'm on
I don't
the
know who
board.
Seth Ramiro is.
I don't either.
Do you even baseball, Shrebsy? What's up, bro?
Number 4, Kyle and Jimmy.
Yancey. Nelson.
Yes, sir.
Are you serious?
What's a Kyle Nelson?
Yeah, who's Kyle Nelson?
Don't worry about it. I'm in first.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Don't
Tied
worry about
for
it. He's in
first.
Tied for
You guys-
first.
You guys are making
got-
me look bad. Hold on.
We
let me-
got 4
the
left.
pants
And we
up.
got a couple tiebreakers. The next one, Evan and Eli.
Yancey.
Chris.
Yancey.
All right, it's Yancey.
Eli. Or White.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, it's Evan and Eli.
Shut up. This is really confusing. Stop.
I mean, David, bold strategy to nominate Yancey.
I was trying to knock one out of the competition.
All right, well, it didn't work. So Yancey's up 3-2. We got 3 left. The next one, Will and Pavin.
David.
Chris.
David.
Smith on the board.
Yep.
All right.
So we got
Pavin.
2.
There's one Pavin.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not going to give you all really hard ones. I'm going to
Thank
give you a couple.
goodness.
I'm going to give you a
I'm
couple
not shut out.
softballs. So we have 2 left. Yancey has 3, Schwebzy has 2, and David has 1. The next one, Justin and Nick.
It could be anybody.
Chris.
Schwebzy.
Anderson.
Nope.
Good guess, though.
I feel like there's got to be a Justin
That might be
Anderson.
right. That
Some
might
nondescript
actually-
reliever somewhere.
As I was say, there has to be 2 guys that share a last name besides whatever you have.
Justin.
Yancey.
All right, Yancey.
Damn it. Done.
Nope. All right, David, your guess?
I don't get the automatic point for being the last standing.
Nope.
Justin and Nick Avila. I don't know.
Williams.
Oh, that's
Oh.
rude.
Yeah, that one.
You're gonna pick the 2 most Caucasian, boring names.
This game is how many nondescript relievers do you know?
You know, it's hard to find people in the league that share the same last name. Okay, that's not. I'm trying to give you guys some easy
You
ones.
should have
with
had
some common
Williams
last names.
off. Williams should have been off limits.
Okay. Well, the last one, and Schwebzy, you need this to tie Yancey. Jordan.
I'm free rolling. I'm free rolling
And-
for first. I love this.
Ready?
Sorry, go ahead.
Jordan and Justice.
Chris.
Schwebzy.
Wait, did you say Justice?
Yeah.
Sheffield?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
I thought it was Justice.
All right. So
Do we have a tiebreaker?
We do have a tiebreaker. All right.
The tiebreaker is the bluest eyes.
The the bluest eyes. All right, David somehow is back in this then. All right. The tiebreaker here. Ryan and Keegan.
Yancey.
Yancey.
Bradley.
Nope.
Wait, I think he's a soccer player.
Oh, I know this. I know this if Schwebby doesn't get it.
Schwebzy.
Aiken?
Yep.
I
Nope.
have no idea who.
Oh.
Wait, no.
I was going to say it sure was Aiken.
Thompson.
Oh, Keegan. Oh my god.
All
All right.
Isn't that guy on SNL? Isn't that guy on SNL?
Keegan Thompson.
Do you have any more? Come on, give us more.
All right. This is the other tiebreaker. Brett and Chris.
Yancey.
Yancey.
I did that as a defense because I didn't actually know what it was. Phillips.
All right. That's incorrect. Schwebzy.
Just trying to
For the
think
win.
of any other Bretts that I know.
Oh, I think I know it.
Thompson?
That's incorrect. It's
Is it Brown?
Martin.
Oh,
Martin.
no.
Bart.
All right. All right. This is
We're
going to be
digging deep.
This is going to be an easier one.
Thank God.
Matt and Austin.
Yancey.
Yancey.
Adams.
Nope.
It is.
Those
It-
are two
it
players.
is. Matt Adams literally just got called up for the Rockies, and Austin Adams is a reliever for the Padres. Schwebzy, valiant
You can
effort. Yay!
You can have
Yancey.
that.
I mean, I'll give it.
Was yours Slater?
No, it was Barnes.
Oh, Austin Barnes.
All right. Well, we're going to give it to Yancey.
Well, yeah, give it.
Yancey gets the crowd applause for the game win. Nice.
This is
job.
vindication. Honestly, I don't know if you remember back then, like our first one. I can't remember what it was, but you guys dusted me. I was embarrassed and
It was it was like the postal code thing.
Yeah, this is my comeuppance, and it feels really good. I just want to thank all the people that I had to step on to get here, but it feels good. Let's go.
I started off so hot and then just
You Golden State Warriors did.
embarrassing.
You know what? It's okay because David came in dead last, and we can all agree that's a good thing.
I was the first stepping stone that they took to get to the title here. That's okay. I will take that. Yancey, Schwebzy, I want to thank you guys so much for coming on the show tonight. Yancey, obviously you've been on and it's always fun. Schwebzy, I thought it was going to be fun with you, but it exceeded my expectations with that.
Thank you.
So really appreciate you two gentlemen coming on. Yancey, do you want to start with plug in whatever you want to plug and say anything you want to say to anybody that's listening?
Just take care and be kind to one another. Oh wait, no, that's Backflip Crazy. My bad. How about thanks for listening? No, that's Eno Saris. You guys can follow me on Twitter if you want to. Just look up Yancey. I'm like one of the only ones on there. I'm a realtor in Southwest Florida. If you guys know of anybody buying or selling, or even if you're in another state and you're looking to buy or sell, get with me. I have partners all over the country. I can help you guys find a home. All those good things. I am contractually obligated to say that as long as I give up my time to do podcasts. I promised my wife I would. Other than that, thank you for having me. I love you guys. I think I was one of the first people as a guest on the show. Not entirely sure. It was a while back, but I say this every single time I talk to you, but like the growth, just unbelievable. The trajectory, you guys, I love the show. Doc, I give you a hard time all the time, but it's out of love. Whenever I don't like people, I just ignore them. So
I love you, Yancey. You're a great guy. You're a great guy.
The feeling is mutual. And Schwebzy, my blue-faced doll, always a pleasure. Or blue-eyed doll. I'm having a rough night with the words.
The one that actually has a decent podcast studio.
I've been holding my breath for a while, so that's where that comes from.
Schwebzy, man, again, I appreciate you, man. Same to you. If you want to plug anything and say anything before we get out of here.
I also agree that you should follow Yancey on Twitter. But if you, for some reason, want to follow me, you can find me at Schwebzy, which is SHWEBSI. And I would also highly recommend following my podcast co-host, who is smarter, funnier, and better looking than I am, at Bunt Singles. And our mutual podcast Twitter account, which is In the Deep PL. Yeah,
and don't put a C in his name, because I actually heard that the other day. I was like, to be honest, I actually did that the first time I heard your name too. I looked it up.
Everyone does.
It's the
Schwarber.
Yeah. Oh, and also, if you're into this kind of thing, the whole stream thing, Sunday nights, like 9-10 o'clock, we do this on my Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Schwebzy.
Yeah, make sure you check that. They run a great podcast there. Make sure you check that out. So, but for everybody listening, watching, however you consume Triple Play Fantasy content, we appreciate you. Next week, we'll be joined by the entire FTN baseball crew. That is Matty Wood, the Brockness Monster, and Mr. Matt Kerfuffle. I always say his name.
Cup for Lee.
I could call him Kerfuffle.
I mean, that's cool too, I guess.
Hopefully he'll be okay when I call him that. But it's gonna be a fun show. It's gonna be a fun time there. So until then, everybody be safe. Enjoy another week of baseball, and we're gonna make like a bread truck and haul these buns. Catch you guys next week.